Caleb Williams claims that leaving Southern Cal for the Chicago Bears would be just lovely. Laiatu Latu says nobody at the NFL Combine is worried about his neck, and 4 players critical to the Rams' turnaround are expected to test free agency. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So, it is February 29th, 2024, Leap Day. And to celebrate Leap Day, we are going to embrace a new phrase added to LA Sports lexicon, sicko mode. We'll talk more about that in a moment. If you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. Totally look forward to hearing from you guys. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. The Lakers rallied from a 21-point deficit in the fourth quarter in a 116-112 victory over the Clippers. Absolutely miraculous. And there's so much to break down in this game. For example, this is why I do not have faith in the Clippers, because you cannot let that happen. Not 21 points in the fourth. Not when it is your enemy. Not when you are playing your last game against your enemy in the same arena that you've shared with your enemy for 25 years. The arena where you've had to cover up your enemy's championship banners, which you have never earned. When you are the team that is in the running for the top seed in the West, you cannot let any of that happen. Period. That's why I have no faith in the Clippers. LeBron James scored 34 points. That included 7 3-pointers. He single-handedly outscored the Clippers in the fourth quarter, which Anthony Davis referred to as sicko mode. Sicko mode. Now, for a guy like me, I only thought that happened when AdultCon came to the LA Convention Center next door. But I digress. Speaking of which, of AdultCon, shout out to all the creepos who have selfies of Ron Jeremy before he got arrested. That's a keeper. That's something you really want to have posted all over the socials. Now, I get that Paul George and Ivica Zubac were out. Absolutely. But you led by 21 points in the fourth quarter. You cannot let that happen. And by the way, we've been talking about how the Clippers don't play enough defense. How did LeBron James get all those points in the fourth quarter? Well, one thing he did was he kept signaling for the pick and roll over and over again in the fourth against James Harden, notorious for not playing defense. Now, again, I'm not trying to claim that the Clippers lost the trade. I was under the impression that they're not going to get a title with James Harden because James Harden doesn't have a ring. But the rap on Harden, aside from being a malcontent, is that he doesn't play any defense. He got blasted by LeBron James repeatedly in the fourth. Now, Kawhi Leonard led the Clippers with 26 points, and Davis added 20 points for the Lakers. But once again, they went into sicko mode. Now, how long that virus lasts, we're going to find out. Washington is in town tonight to play the Lakers at 7:30. Also, the Kings are at Vancouver at 7. We mentioned Adrian Kempe was out with a so-called lower body injury. He had an MRI when he returned to LA. Now, I am not a doctor and I cannot diagnose Adrian Kempe. While it is true that you can have an MRI on your leg, MRIs are designed for close-up looks at, and in particular with MSK, musculoskeletal issues, they want primarily to have looks at the joints around the knee. For example, knees, ankles. So Kempe is definitely out tonight, and we're going to talk more about that impact in just a moment as well. UCLA is at Washington at 7:30. The Bruins are on a 2-game losing streak, and USC is playing 19th ranked Washington State at 7:30. You heard me. The Cougars are the ones that are ranked, not the Trojans. The Cougars will welcome back DJ Rodman, who left the school to transfer to SC. And speaking of SC, let's finally get to the news. Caleb Williams has scheduled interviews with 8 different teams at the NFL Combine. One of those teams is the Chicago Bears, which is very strange because for months, we had been hearing about on the interwebs about how Williams claims privately that he will not play for the Bears. That if he were going to play for the Bears, he would only do it, for example, if they brought along Lincoln Riley. That he was also the claim was that he wanted to basically do Chicago the way Eli Manning did the San Diego Chargers back in the day. I don't know if any of that is true. What I can tell you is that Williams told ESPN, quote, "I'm not pushing any agenda. If I get drafted by the Bears, I'll be excited," unquote. Now, Williams is one of 8 former Trojans that are at the Combine. So we're going to wind up getting more information in the days and weeks that are leading up to the draft. That's still a little bit away. But I at least want to give you a gist from draft analysts at NFL.com as to where these former USC football players stand right now. Okay? Before the bench presses, before the Wonderlic tests. Now, Williams obviously projects as an immediate starter, whoever drafts him. Let's just get that out of the way. The others would include running back Marshawn Lloyd, wide receiver Brendan Rice, and safety Kalen Bullock would all eventually work their way into being starters. Wide receiver Taj Washington, corner Christian Roland Wallace, they all project as backups. Meanwhile, guard Jarrett Kingston and edge rusher Solomon Byrd have an outside shot of making an NFL team. So you're going to wind up seeing all 8 of those guys on the NFL Network this week, you know, running their 40s, jumping up to swat at little things to show how high they can go. We'll find out what happens. 8 Trojan players in Indianapolis this week. The following could just be the useless crap that you hear, the gossip that goes nowhere prior to the NFL draft. But former UCLA rush end Laiatu Latu apparently chatted things up with the Chicago Bears prior to going to the Combine. The source is Chicago's NBC affiliate. Now, the Bears have the top pick overall, but they're not going to wind up using it on him, obviously. They also, however, have the 9th overall pick, which isn't too much of a stretch to imagine Latu being drafted then. We've been seeing mock drafts of Latu going anywhere from top 10 to late teens in the first round. A couple of them even have him going in the 20s. Theoretically, you could say he'd be available for the Rams as well, if that's the case. Latu later told the Scribes that no team that he has spoken with have expressed concern about the neck injury that forced him into medical retirement for 2 years before he made a comeback with UCLA last year. The Orange County Register is reporting that the Rams have discussed contracts for offensive linemen Coleman Shelton and Kevin Dotson, as well as defensive backs Akello Witherspoon and John Johnson III, who all, the latter two, by the way, the Witherspoon and Johnson, both played for the league minimum last year. Rams general manager Les Snead expects them to try the free agent market. Shelton, for example, already had a contract. He voided that last year so that he can go try the market. Now, 3 of those 4 players that I listed were absolutely impactful in the Rams' turnaround last season. Witherspoon, for example, arguably their best cornerback. Dotson was acquired from Pittsburgh in exchange for a bottle of 2 Buck Chuck and a plate of Sloppy Joes, and all of a sudden he becomes the best interior offensive lineman in the game, according to Pro Football Focus. And without Shelton, the Rams don't have anybody to snap the ball. So that kind of matters. Sean McVay said that they were, quote, proactively trying to be able to get that taken care of, unquote, in regards to keeping Shelton on the team. Snead, for his part, met with the Scribes via, I don't know, Zoom, FaceTime, whatever. Snead said that despite Aaron Donald's original commitment to play in 2024, the team still is giving him space to revitalize. They don't want to push their luck You still coming back? You still coming back? You still coming back? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, to hell with you guys, I'm retiring. Also, while the Rams have $40 million in cap space, the team is chatting things up with reserve offensive lineman Joe Noteboom about what they should do with his $20 million cap number. That's way too much to give a reserve offensive lineman. And as you recall, if you are a longtime Rams fan, Noteboom was supposed to be the heir apparent to Andrew Whitworth, and it simply didn't work. Cutting Noteboom is a distinct possibility. If the Rams do it after June 1st, they could save another $15 million against the cap. Over at Camelback Ranch, yes, I heard Shohei Ohtani got married. Mazel tov. Don't care. I'm not here to talk about love, other than my wife, in the distinct hope that she doesn't divorce me. But also with the Dodgers, I get that we're all supposed to ooh and ah over the debut of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, but I'm not going to do that. And the reason is, we already knew how high the Dodgers were on the guy. We know. That's like saying the Dodgers are high on Mookie Betts. They should be, right? No kidding. Here's what I took away from spring training, though, over the last couple of days. That relief pitcher Blake Treinen pitched a scoreless inning. Now, why does that matter? It's because Treinen was one of the game's best relievers. But he did not pitch last year at all because he had shoulder surgery back in 2022. So now he's pitching again. He throws a scoreless inning, and they believe that he could be ready for the season opener in South Korea, which is less than a month away, which means that's an upgrade that the Dodgers did not necessarily think they would have. Also with the Dodgers, recently we discussed CBSSports.com's top 50 prospects. The writer came back after his top 50 and said, you know, there were these 4 guys who just missed the cut, and golly gee, don't I feel guilty about not including them. Now, among those 4 players that were not included in his top 50 is Dodger prospect and outfielder Josue De Paula, who played in the Cal League last year. Now, we've talked about him before with writers who have top 100 lists as opposed to top 50 lists. The writer sees De Paula as having an ideal left-handed swing, but he also could develop quickly from the Cal League because he's just a teenager and doesn't have enough muscle on his body yet. He hits the weight room, he could explode. So there's that. I want to be upfront with you and say that I do not know how much I trust the hockey website, The Fourth Period. I don't know yet. But we did mention earlier in this broadcast that Adrian Kempe is out tonight. For that matter, so are wingers Victor Arvidsson and Carl Grundstrom. So the Kings now have a dilemma. We knew they were deep at center. We knew they were deep at defense. But eventually the wingers have to chip in too. They're all out, right? According to Fourth Period, GM Rob Blake was already calling other teams about scoring help when he found out that Kempe was hurt. It is very much true that the LA Kings are up against a salary cap, but if Kempe is out for the year, the Kings will get some form of cap relief from his $5.5 million salary. So theoretically, and they can try and plug that void with another scoring forward. Having said all that, that's counterbalanced by some bad news. If you're making those calls, that's telling me that you don't think Kempe or Arvidsson is coming back anytime real soon. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about Caleb Williams and the Trojans contingent over in Indianapolis, Indiana for the Combine. Where do you wind up taking Laiatu Latu if you're an NFL GM? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day, including sicko mode. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corta El Queso production. Take care.